Let's bring in Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. He's on the Senate's Homeland Security Committee. So, Senator, we expect to hear in about 42 minutes or so from the president about these objects. You've had some classified briefings that might give you the inside track of what the president might be telling us. What do you expect he's going to say?
You know, I'm not sure what he is going to say, because during the classified briefing, as Marco Rubio had said earlier, it really didn't say anything there that couldn't be said publicly at this point. What is unsaid at this point is there have been 250 what they call unidentified aerial phenomena. There's been 250 of those in the last 2 years. He shut down 3 of them in a matter of 3 days. What made those 3 different than the previous 247 that had been identified in the past 24 months? I think that's a big issue for us, and we don't know if this is just a reaction to we had a high altitude aerial balloon come all the way across and do a spy mission across our country, and it was embarrassing, and so now we're just going to shoot down everything, or what's the difference here? So there's a bunch of questions here. Why these 3, not the previous 247? What's different about it? Have they recovered the information? Who actually put them up? What do we know about their origins? So these are basic questions only the president and his team can answer.
Your colleague, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, was on with our Dana Perino earlier today on America's Newsroom. He was in these classified briefings and said he's never had a briefing in which there was less information shared. Is it just that this administration doesn't have the information, or they're not sharing it? Because we did have Senator Kennedy on yesterday, who said that he learned from the intelligence community and I guess the Pentagon that they'd been monitoring this thing before it was even launched, and they watched it go up in the sky. It was headed toward Guam, and then kind of took a turn to the north and headed toward Alaska. And he fully believes that if this thing hadn't been spotted by a civilian on the ground in Montana, it would have been tight lips from the intelligence community, that they never would have said boo about this thing.
I completely agree, in the sense that they would have never said anything else about it. If it wasn't a civilian that actually saw it and then notified it, put it in the local press, and then national press started being able to pick it up. The big issue on the high altitude balloon was they were keenly aware this was a Chinese spy balloon, in particular, carrying a heavy spy payload. As it entered American waters in Alaska, the president hesitated and didn't actually take it down at that spot. And then it goes all the way over Alaska, it comes into the United States, and apparently was going to go all the way across the United States unless it had been called out. So there are lots of questions related to why did the president hesitate when it came into American waters, when everyone knew that's what that was when it came into American waters? Why would he allow that to come across Alaska and then start coming across the continental United States?
Were you given assurances in your briefings that this thing didn't get any signals out, that it was jammed literally from the moment it got into U.S. airspace?
There's no way to really be able to articulate that. Honestly, until you start to recover it and to be able to find out what it saw and what it did, there's no way to really be able to say it. So there's no way to be able to give assurances, because they don't know that.
Right. I want to switch gears and talk about the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio, because the EPA Administrator Michael Regan is there. We still haven't seen hide nor hair of the Transportation Secretary, other than a couple of tweets that he's put out on this. Trent Conaway, who's the mayor of East Palestine, was at a town hall last night, which grew very heated. Somebody in the crowd asked him, where is Pete Buttigieg? Where's he at? Conaway responded, quote, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Yesterday was the first time I heard anything from the White House. This train derailment was 2 weeks ago, and yesterday was the first time he heard from the White House?
Yeah, this is a transportation issue on that, and why they're sending out the Secretary for EPA and sending out that cabinet official rather than those that are handling transportation, I have no idea on this. So the first accountability, obviously, is for the rail line itself. They hold ultimate accountability for what happens on their rails, for the notification, for all the process. The second one is the regulator that handles that, which is the transportation group, to be able to engage with them, find out, did they follow the rules? Are they doing it the right way? Do they do full notifications? Was the state aware of what was actually traveling through the state? Local fire departments, were they made aware based on the notification for this train line? All those questions are reasonable questions to be made, but they're made by Department of Transportation. That's who actually makes that decision on that. So clearly Pete Buttigieg should be out there. It's an environmental disaster as well. I understand why EPA is also there to be able to go through the process, but why he's there alone, we don't know.
You know, there's been a lot of talk that this was a heavily Trump district. It's 70+% Republican. Voted for Trump in 2020 and 2016. Is that potentially behind it? But the way I look at this is not a Democrat or a Republican issue. This is an environmental disaster that's unfolding in slow motion. And shouldn't all hands on deck be the order of the day here?
100%. If this administration is so petty to say this is a heavy Trump district, so I'm not going to respond as fast, that's really an all-new low. They are fellow Americans. It doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat. This is a train derailment. It's an environmental disaster. We need to engage in every way we can. That's what's happening in the state. They're not asking how you voted in the state to be able to take care of them, as they're doing in Ohio. That certainly shouldn't even be in the conversation nationally.
All right, Senator James Lankford, good to catch up with you. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time.
You bet. Good to see you again.